Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 13 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really fun Gen 5 only team built by one of my favorite team builders from Japan, Kotaro, who actually qualified for day 2 of the World Championships this year after using a Giratina team to make it through day 1. We actually featured an original version of that Giratina team many months ago, and he also brought Geomancy's Smeargle to the World Championships in 2015. So one of the most creative team builders I've ever met, and uses stuff that really just pushes the envelope and what you normally wouldn't expect. And so there are enough strong Pokemon in Gen 5 to make a Gen 5 only team. We used an Alola only team actually a couple weeks ago as well, so I'll link that in the description below. But as always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team. If you want to just skip to the battles though, check out the timestamp in the description below. And thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, I want to know what you think was the best designed Gen 5 Pokemon down in the comments below. So let's talk about this team. So the general idea with this team is that you have multiple really strong Dynamax options, and we're going to start with the Assault Vest Reshiram. Now, Reshiram is just really bulky to begin with, especially when you throw an Assault Vest on it. This thing can completely wall things like Calyrex Shadow Rider, for example. And even against Kyogre, for example, you have Sunny Day with Whimsicott as well as the Victini here, and so they can both set up the Sun, really allowing Kyogre to not do very much damage in a Reshiram. And you can essentially use Assault Vest Reshiram to kind of stall out opposing Dynamaxes. I think with this team, you have some really strong max options in Reshiram, Kyurem-W, as well as the Genesect. But once Dynamax is over, you also have some just really powerful offense, whether it be like Blizzard and the Hail, if you can set that up, for example, via Max Hailstorm, or Zekrom with Choice Band, and then the Bolt Strike, for example. And so Reshiram is a more kind of defensive Dynamax option where, it can stick around for a little bit longer. This also counters Zacian really, really well, which is very nice for this team, because Zacian threatens Pokemon like Kyurem and Zekrom immensely. Kyurem's one of the other primary Dynamax options here. This is a lot less bulky than the Reshiram here. As you can see, Reshiram just more bulk, has the Assault Vest. Kyurem is just max special attack, max speed, modest. And the idea is to deal as much damage with it as possible. Now, Kyurem is really held back by the fact that Zacian's Behemoth Blade just is such a big threat to this Pokemon. But that's why you've got Reshiram to scare off Zacian. You've got Victini to scare off Zacian. Whimsicott has Charm here as well. So a bunch of things that can at least deter Zacian from being as much of a threat, but it's still really scary. And so, if I'm fighting against teams with Zacian on it, I generally want to ask myself, okay, am I in a position where I can safely Dynamax Kyurem? If not, how can I basically eliminate, the Zacian as quickly as possible? This is going to deal more damage than Reshiram. This is a lot of potential to actually just pick up big one-hit KOs, whereas Reshiram struggles to pick up one-hit KOs, but can stick on the field for, generally longer and isn't worried about as much. The third Dynamax option here is actually Genesect. Now, this Genesect is really interesting. In my experience playing with this team, it's the Pokemon that I brought the least just because it's not very bulky, but it's actually a mix set with max attack and max special attack. So I think what makes this really fun is that, you get a download boost, and then you can take advantage of either end of the offensive spectrum. It's Water Douse Drive as well, and so, you're able to have really interesting coverage between Technoblast, Iron Head, Leech Life, and Blizzard. And so this can be a potential Dynamax option against the right teams. For example, if you're going up against Calyrex Ice Rider compositions, I think Genesect is actually very essential in that kind of matchup. It's the Pokemon I bring the least when using this team, but I think it's super fun. And so, definitely, you very rarely see a mix set like this in VGC. The last thing I can think of that I used that had a, spread like this was maybe download Dynamax Porygon 2, which was a really niche set let someone use to, win one of the online tournaments, the Wi-Fi tournaments. And the whole point is in best of one, you never expect Porygon to Dynamax and pick up big one-hit knockouts. But similarly, the whole idea is with download here, you can get a lot of good value from both ends of the offensive spectrum. So we've talked about Reshiram, Kyurem, and Genesect. That leaves us with Choice Band Zekrom, which I think is really interesting. This thing just completely obliterates Kyogre, and with helping hand support from Victini and Whimsicott, you can even, pressure things like Zacian, for example, for a KO. Dual Wing Beat's really nice into opposing Whimsicotts, and then, Yveltal is really common in this format, so having Choice Band Bolt Strike as a way to threaten Yveltal was just so nice, because this essentially feels like a max move, but isn't actually a max move, right? You don't have to commit a Dynamax in order to go for it. Zekrom, of course, could max as well, but I think because it has Choice Band, you get less value out of it maxing, so you only really want to do that in scenarios where you feel like you have no other option. Finally, to round out the team, you've got this Victini. This is max HP, max attack, and it is actually Brave Nature, but you still have enough speed investment here where under Tailwind, the Victini can outpace most things. But the idea here is it can also set up Trick Room. This is really valuable against teams that want to set up Tailwind in front of you, since this team looks like a Tailwind team, right? All of these Pokemon look fairly fast. They're in the kind of base 90 to 100 speed range, and so naturally when your opponents see this, you're like, okay, they're going to set up Tailwind. But if your opponent has their own Tailwind and they have faster Pokemon like Zacian, Calyrex, for example, Choice Scarf, Kyogre, this is where you can use Victini to set up Trick Room and then really turn the speeds against them. Focus Sash, really critical on the Victini here. Victini is just weak to like everything in this format, you know, Kyogre, for example, Groudon, Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Yveltal. I just listed 4 of the most common Pokemon in the format. Victini sadly is weak against all of them, and so if you want to make this Pokemon work, I think Sash is, either Sash or Scarf are good items on it. And of course, with Victory Star, you have increased accuracy, so you can actually, feel a little bit better using your slightly inaccurate attacks with Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem. Final Pokemon on the team is just Whimsicott. This is a bulky set with Charm, Tailwind, Sunny Day, Helping Hand. The main thing I'd call out here is that it doesn't have a Moonblast or an Energy Ball, so you can't actually deal damage with this, so keep that in mind, because Whimsicott can often feel like a sitting duck after, setting up in the early game. So, yeah, I've gone with a lot of modes, but I really value modes like Whimsicott plus one of the Restricteds, or one of the Dragons, and then the other 2 Dragons just in the back. Also, keep in mind, like, you have some interesting synergies here because of the signature attacks with Fusion Bolt as well as Fusion Flare, so keep that in mind when you're using this team. I haven't really, gotten too many experiences where it's really worked, but one thing to just keep in mind, right? So yeah, Victini plus the 3 Dragons is always strong. Whimsicott plus the 3 Dragons. Victini Whimsicott's interesting, where you can bluff Tailwind and actually set up Trick Room with Victini against teams where you feel confident you can sweep with like 2 of the 3 Dragons in the back. I've had games where I've led Whimsicott Genesect into like Kyogre teams where I just Sunny Day and then go for like Dynamax on Genesect to put on pressure against like potential Scarf Kyogres, for example. So yeah, I've been talking about the team long enough though, so let's get into the battles. Our first game here, and we are up against Whimsicott, Dialga, Kyogre, Zacian, Calyrex, and Yveltal. Man, is there anything I could do with Genesect here? It's interesting. Technoblast, Ironhead, Leech Life, Protect. Like, it could max here. I think Dialga in general is really concerning. That's going to be my primary concern. So, like, the best way to beat it is maybe through, like, Reshiram, Helping Hand, Max Quake, for example, because I have Assault Vest. I think Trick Room is worth contemplating in this one, but I think it's really difficult to guarantee setting up given the amount of offense my opponent has. So I'm thinking Whimsicott, Reshiram, Zekrom. I mean, Kyurem's not very good outside of Dynamax. Kind of down to give the Genesect a shot here, honestly. But I guess it's not speedy. Well, actually, because it's not speedy, I'm not sure it's worth it. Victini has Focus Sash and also can pressure Trick Room. So maybe we go with that. I think one of the things that's interesting about this team is that, like, you only have Protect on Kyurem, and so you have to be a little bit more deliberate in your Pokemon choice, right? Because, like, if you get caught in a bad position, you have much less room for error. I think Reshiram overall looks strong here, but I'm worried about a couple things. Snarl from Yveltal, that's the main one. Whimsicott Dialga combination, Fake Tears plus Max Wormwind. Also not knowing how fast Dialga is scary. So, a bunch of different factors here. Let's see. We're going to go with the Whimsicott Calyrex. Okay, I am honestly more than okay with this as the lead, because at least I'm not majorly threatened by too much damage on turn 1. I just don't know if I really want to Tailwind here. Like, I can stagger my Tailwind maybe by a turn, but I guess I don't have attacking moves with Whimsicott. Like, if I had Moonblast here, I'd be down to just Moonblast and, like, double up onto Whimsicott immediately. They are fairly specially oriented. I don't even want a Dynamax here. But I don't really get value out of any other attack from Whimsicott. I guess I could Sunny Day. You know what? Yeah, I'm down to Sunny Day, Blue Flare, Calyrex turn 1. I guess the other thing, though, is that, like, only one of these 2 Pokemon can carry Sash, and they actually Light Screen. So that's the other reason I didn't want to Tailwind, because I think there's a chance that they Trick Room with Calyrex here, and if that's the case, this actually puts me in a really good spot. But I think Whimsicott's likely sashed here. It's Mud Shot, but they actually miss, unfortunately. Okay. I mean, we have Assault Vest, so, I definitely would have been able to take that, but that actually makes me think it's Choice Specs on Calyrex. So, a fairly lucky dodge. Since Reshiram is so good as a max option here, it might actually be worthwhile to Dynamax. And Max Quake. For example, what I could do here is pivot out into Victini, Max, and then Quake. Because, like, I expect, maybe Zacian plus Dialga in the back. And I'm not really bothering to set up Tailwind right now, because I think my opponent is just going to outpace me anyway. And now I can actually potentially pressure Trick Room with Victini, which is also interesting. Anyway, Mudshot's just pretty interesting because it doesn't really deal that much damage. I normally expect to see that on like Specs Calyrex. So maybe it is Focus Sash, Whimsicott, Choice Specs on Calyrex. But given that we didn't Dynamax before this turn, like it is fairly lucky to, you know, get a dodge there because it means I just don't take any damage pre-Dynamax. Now making it a lot better to Dynamax the Reshiram. Yeah, so they go for another Mudshot. Yeah, that would have done a sizable amount to us, honestly. Interestingly enough, the Whimsicott did not go for a priority attack, so they're just Moonblasting here. Okay. Special attack drop is not ideal. But I guess, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I got a dodge earlier, so I can't really complain too much. My problem now is, like, I'm really worried about how I'm beating Dialga, potentially. I think Trick Rooming with Victini here is interesting right now, especially since I have a special defense boost. But, like, the problem is that they have Light Screen, and they got a special attack drop onto Reshiram. So my damage output right now onto Dialga is not looking good at all. And that's what I would expect to come in here. But I guess it could be Kyogre coming in as well. It's going to be a Kyogre. That makes me question whether or not they even have Dialga in the back, honestly, then. I'm not sure. Zekrom is very good into Kyogre, obviously. -1 speed. I don't mind Trick Rooming here, personally. And then we can change the weather with the Max Flare here as well. Because, like, I have Choice Band Zekrom just waiting to come in and beat this Kyogre, right? And if they're committing the Dynamax to Kyogre, this makes me think it's Kyogre Zacian, right? And if that's the case, I think that's okay for me, because Zekrom is looking mighty strong. The question is whether or not I'm able to get this Trick Room up. Maybe they just double up onto Victini, expecting the Focus Sash. I think that would be a decently powerful play here. Ah, but they Tailwind. Very nice. Okay, Victini is going to get Trick Room up successfully for us. That's excellent. Max Geyser, presumably into Victini, which will bring me down to 1 HP. Nice. So far, Whimsicott has revealed Tailwind, Light Screen, Life Orb on Kyogre as well, okay. And Moonblast. I'm a little bit worried about Encore being their final attack. Oh, but you know how I can get around Encore? I can just Helping Hand. Yeah. Yeah, Helping Hand works, no? They might just max Hailstorm here, though. Victini would faint. I think conserving Victini could be valuable for me. So honestly, I'm down to switch out into Whimsicott. Because then, yeah, I can also get the KO onto the Whimsicott right now. So I'll switch into my Whimsicott. I'll KO their Whimsicott. And then they presumably won't be knocking out Victini, which is now switching into Whimsicott. And then if they bring out Zacian as their final one, I can just Charm that, right? Okay, and they've revealed Charm on their Whimsicott. So it's Charm, Light Screen, Tailwind, Moonblast. That's pretty standard. You know, it's just one of the strongest movesets on Whimsicott right now, in my opinion. But this works out well in the grand scheme of things. Okay. And they're actually going to opt for Geyser here rather than a Hailstorm. That makes sense. Oh, and they target Whimsicott. Beautiful. It's interesting to have Charmed and Geyser that slot. I'm surprised they didn't want to go for a Hailstorm there. Because, like, Kyogre would have been slower than my Reshiram, so it would move afterwards, meaning you guarantee get the Hail up. It would KO Victini, but the Whimsicott switch ends up being perfect for us. So I expect Zacian as their last one, but let's see. Yep. Okay, cool. And this worked out really well for us because of the way I set up Trick Room, I think. So let's see. Just let's reassess the board state. Take a breath right now. But, like, you still have 2 turns of Tailwind while Trick Room is up. So I'm definitely outpacing you. I'm at -1 speed here, -1 special attack. Like, I'm down to click Charm. Ooh, I could also Sunny Day, no? But I would expect them to go for a Geyser or a Hailstorm here, so I think Charm is better. If anything, actually, I expect the Zacian to just protect this turn. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm down to Charm into Zacian, and then switch this out into Victini. Like, Victini has done what it's needed to do, really, at this point. But... oh, well, actually, if they Hailstorm Whimsicott and I lose both Pokemon, it's fine, right? Oh, and they actually don't protect Zacian. Okay, that works. So Zacian's damage output now is pretty poor. They're going to Geyser, yep. I don't know, maybe it was worth considering Sunny Day. They're gonna just knock out the Victini. Yeah. Like, the thing is, now I just get Choice Band Zekrom out, right? And their Zacian's at -1. So we should be in really good shape. Oh, I can also go for our unique attacks with both Reshiram and Zekrom here, can't I? Because, like, all I'm losing to is, what, a play rough critical hit at this point, given that you're at -1. I wouldn't expect you to KO us. Light screen wears off. Beautiful. So now I get Zekrom and Reshiram. I could also lose to multiple protects, I think. That's the other part of the problem. But yeah, like, Sunny Day wouldn't have accomplished anything there, because Geyser would have just, I guess it would have worked if oh, no, you know, like, one thing I could have gone for was just Sunny Day plus, and attacking into the Zacian slot. I just wasn't sure if I'd KO with Sunny Day, because I was at -1, and, like, maybe they're bulky Zacian. But yeah, they have 2 turns of Trick Room right now. So... And your Zacian's at -1, so I expect to survive a play rough. So I think I'm down to just Fusion Bolt here and Fusion Flare. Okay, Kyogre protects, which is fairly obvious. So I also thought about, like, whether or not I want to read into that, but I don't think I necessarily need to right now. Oh, also, yeah, because I don't get the Fusion Bolt off, does this mean that Fusion Flare just doesn't do as much? Maybe that's the case. Okay, it's just under 50%. Yeah, they go for play rough. No crit. Okay. Tailwind Peter's out. Yeah, I mean, I lose to a double protect here, but I think if they don't get a double protect, we should just win the game. So I'm just going to go for Bolt and Flare again. Maybe I should have just read into Kyogre's protect. Zacian's protecting here, but that implies Kyogre is not protecting. Okay. I just get Choice Band Fusion Bolt off. Nice. That should KO, right? Sick. Cool. That's why, yeah, like, I think Kyogre should have opted for a double there, but maybe they were hoping to outspeed me under Trick Room. I think that's the other reasonable option, but if they successfully get the double protect off there, I think I'd lose. Now I think we should win. I still need to dodge one more critical hit, I think. But yeah, I can just Fusion Bolt and Flare. Because Rain expires after this turn. Zacian can only knock out the Zekrom right now. I can't protect with either Pokemon. They actually just end up missing Play Rough, which is also a little unlucky. So we'll just get Fusion Flare off here. No, and that actually just KO'd outright. That was a crit, so definitely not going in my opponent's favor, but the end game was very much, I think, in my hands there. Like, they would need to hit 2 consecutive play roughs and crit the play rough onto Reshiram as well, right? So, yeah, the odds are very much in my favor there, but just missing immediately allowed us to win the game. So kind of anticlimactic as an ending there. But yeah, that was a really fun game. I mean, we got to bring out the Victini, set up Trick Room with it, managed to get the Zekrom and the Reshiram out next to each other as well. I think I could have utilized my Trick Room turns a little bit more effectively, especially when I had the 4 Pokemon, you know, and like, there's the turn I gave up both Whimsicott and Victini. I'm not sure if I played that turn the best because, like, I had a 4-2 lead, essentially, right? And in the end, my opponent was in a position where they maybe could have won if they had gotten a double protect off, which is kind of concerning to me because it means I didn't do everything in my power to, like, just win the game after building up what I would consider a really big lead. So, yeah, I gotta think about what I could do a little bit better. But in the end, we managed to win, and we get to feature Choice Band Zekrom and Victini managing to get Trick Room up, so I'm already really happy here. Ooh, haven't seen Lilligant in a very long time, but we've got Lilligant, Zacian, Yveltal, Groudon, Zamazenta, Grimmsnarl. Feels like Reshiram can be fairly strong here. Zekrom can actually be really powerful into the Yveltal, but if I were them, I would play towards the Groudon. Charm is going to be really good for us here, and I think leading Whimsicott's okay in this game. You know, I could actually just Tailwind into Final Gambit here, potentially. But I have to worry about Sucker Punch from Yveltal, right? The thing is, like, Kyurem's actually very strong as a potential Dynamax option here. I think Genesect is definitely the odd one out in this team where it's very hard to feel comfortable bringing it, but everything else always feels decent. Like, if I can eliminate Zacian early, Kyurem Dynamax is amazing. So I guess, like, what do I expect my opponent to lead with here? I think Yveltal plus Zamazenta is one possibility. To which then Kyurem would actually be very strong, no? You know what? I'm kind of down for the choice band Zekrom. Because, like, band Zekrom's actually really good into most of my opponent's team other than Groudon. But is my opponent really going to lead Groudon? And even if they do lead Groudon, Whimsicott can just charm them immediately. So, we have options. This is a really cool team, though. I'm mainly curious what Lilligant is going to do. Sleep Powder is obviously the main thing to worry about. So, if they could just lead Lilligant Groudon, actually. That could be kind of bad, no? Ooh, they also may have ran out of time there. So Lilligant's Zacian lead would imply they ran out of time, and then it would mean they'd have, what, Yveltal Groudon in the back? If I were them and I did run out of time, I would probably pivot Zacian into Groudon turn 1, set up the sun, and then Sleep Powder Zekrom. Let's see. No, that's Grimmsnarl, okay. So I don't think they ran out of time. Grim and Zacian. Ah, the problem here is you have Fake Out on Grimmsnarl. I led Whimsicott, like, kind of carelessly here just because, like, Fake Out on Grimmsnarl wasn't as common in other formats, but in Series 13, I think it's a much stronger pick specifically because of how common Whimsicott is. Ugh, yeah, that's actually really bad. Because I could kind of just get wrecked on turn 1. I'm kind of down to read into them going for, like, I'm going to, like, Helping Hand and Bolt Strike into Zacian here, I think. I don't know. To me, if they're leading this, it feels like they have a Whimsicott answer, right? And I think being able to just KO Whimsicott immediately is pretty strong. But this is risky, right? Because they, of course, could Fake Out Whimsicott and just, like, play rough Zekrom. But the reality is I don't have a super safe play to make right now, so I'm willing to make an aggressive read because it can get me a huge advantage. They actually just opted for Reflect. Okay, well, that's kind of frustrating. It is Behemoth Blade, though. Okay. But it means I could have just Tailwinded. So, yeah, I tried to get a little fancy there, because in my head, I was like, okay, you might Fake Out Behemoth Blade the Whimsicott. Because the thing is, their play didn't really cover for Focus Sash Whimsicott. If I were Sashed here, I'd just be able to set up Tailwind this next turn very easily. But it ends up working out fairly well for them, so nicely done. Choice Band Bolt Strike. Is that a crit, or... Oh my... Holy... Okay. It was through Reflect. Obviously, we had Choice Band and Helping Hand, but I honestly still did not expect that to KO. That's huge. So let's think about what they can go into right now. Yveltal, Zamazenta, Groudon. Yeah, I mean, Kyurem's looking pretty decent. Like, I guess they could go into Zamazenta, but then you have Zamazenta and Grimmsnarl on the field, which is kind of awkward. I think that's Groudon. Yeah. Okay, well, Max Hailstorm here is going to be very powerful. Yeah, the awkward thing about using this team is just not having any ground resistances or immunities, so it's like, can I effectively KO Groudon? I guess Lilligant could be their last one. What do I want to do here? They set up Reflect, so it makes sense for them to set up Light Screen this turn, right? I can decrease their attack. Like, basically, I'm thinking about Max Wormwinding this turn to survive with Zekrom and get an extra attack off. I think I'm okay with that option. Because, like, Hailstorm isn't KOing them anyway, and I'm not even sure it's going to be a 2-hit knockout when you account for Max Quake Special Defense Boost and Assault Vest and Light Screen. So the idea is, okay, well, if I'm not going to KO you, I might as well try to stall out your Dynamax, because I know I'm going to at least outpace you. However, here, I'd have to be worried about Grimmsnarl going for a Scary Face or a Thunder Wave onto Kyurem, I think. Both of those would cause me some problems. Actually, I think the odds of that are fairly likely here, and because of that, I'm not sure I actually love the positioning here. If we actually just had Focus Sash on Whimsicott, I think I'd be in such good shape, because I would have been able to just Tailwind or get a free Charm off in a Groudon. So, yeah. But Sash is so crucial in Victini on this team, in my opinion, if you want to effectively make that work. Okay, they did go for Scary Face. Maybe I could have just Hailstorm then. It would have been so much damage. I don't know. Like, the problem is now I am Wormwinding after you. Yeah, I actually think Groudon maybe just overwhelms me too much now. Oh, that almost even KO'd Grimmsnarl. Oh my gosh, this thing does so much damage. Would you get a Paralysis onto onto Grimmsnarl? Okay, they're gonna Quake here. They should know I'm Choice Band, so you should target the Zekrom slot always, yeah. I think this is, like, basically in my head, I'm like, okay, now I get an attack drop onto your Groudon, right? Which is pretty critical, so maybe Reshiram can survive the turn, and then I can Hailstorm you next turn. But I have to assume you're Assault Vest, so the problem is you can just, like, Scary Face the Reshiram now. Wait, that might not be AV, or I got a crit there. That was a lot of damage. That was a lot of damage. Okay. Yeah, like, Scary Face was the game changer there, because it allowed them to move before me and get a special defense boost, right? Which changes a lot. I'm hoping with that attack drop now, Reshiram can survive. So they can set up Light Screen, but what I can go for is just Hailstorm here. And then just Blue Flare as well. Yeah. I'm curious if they go for Scary Face or Light Screen. Like, I would Light Screen in this position. They could also get fully paralyzed, which would screw them over, I think. But they're not going to get parried. Okay. I could also burn here onto the Groudon, which would be huge. Okay, Blue Flare does not miss. It's going to connect. That doesn't look like Assault Vest to me. Like, I think Hailstorm might still KO here, honestly, but we'll see. I survive on 4, but I'm going to faint for my own Hail, unfortunately. Okay. I really thought I would take that a little bit better. I could still win if I KO Groudon, though, because Kyurem can beat whatever, like, Lilligant or Yveltal in the back for my opponent. But I kind of need Hailstorm to get the KO here. Oh, it was so close! Oh, that's disappointing. Okay. It was Weakness Policy Groudon. Oh my gosh, what? Okay. That's a bummer. Like, a burn there would have put me in decent shape. Slightly higher damage rolls would have put me in decent shape as well. Yeah, I don't regret going for the Wormwind, but yeah, they're like one tick away from fainting, essentially. Oh, I said one tick. It actually is probably 2 ticks, isn't it? Okay, but I think the win condition's actually just going for a double protect right now. Maybe they faint from 1 hit, but I really don't think so. I think they'll have like 1 HP left. Because I think, I don't know, it could be Zamazenta as their final one, but Zamazenta in the back is always kind of weird for me to expect. Spare Brick, yeah, Steel Spike. Oh, that was so close. It's going to have like 1 HP, right? Oh. Also, if Grimmsnarl got full para, like, there was a lot that could have went right for us that turn. Grimmsnarl full para, Reshiram burning into Groudon, or just getting a slightly higher damage roll. Although on the third one, I'm not actually sure. Like, maybe I have already been getting higher damage roll, so I'm not sure. But that literally looks like 1 and 2 HP on both Pokemon, so... Yeah, I think the only way we can win this game is get a double protect, and then hope their last one's Lilligant or Yveltal and one-shot it with Blizzard. So, we're gonna go for it. Okay, let's see. Holding my breath right now. I guess they could also, like, they have a steel type attack, so, like, you should just heavy slam here rather than Precipice Blades, right? Yeah, we don't get it. I really wanted to see what their final Pokemon was. They actually went for Stone Edge. You could have missed that. That's like, wow, I'm surprised. But maybe they just weren't confident on heavy slam KOing, and they're like, okay, I'll at least take the 70% chance to just win the game immediately. But yeah, they actually very easily could have lost that, I think, if Stone Edge missed. But maybe, I mean, if Zamazenta were their final Pokemon, it wouldn't have made a difference. So yeah, that was super, super close. Obviously, it stings to be on the losing end, but that was a fun one, so I can't complain too much. Even though we lost, I think that game demonstrated how amazing Zekrom can be. I mean, Helping Hand Choice Band, just one-shotting Zacian is so satisfying. But yeah, like, the main problem for me here is, like, Groudon was just able to overwhelm me, and, like, without conserving Whimsicott and Charm, and then also them having Scary Face before I could get the Max Wormwind off, it meant, like, Groudon could snowball the game a lot quicker than I would have liked it to. And inherently, that's one of the problems that we have here, right? Like, the only thing that resists ground-type attacks is Whimsicott, so that's why my opponent prioritized KOing it so early on. So, well done on their end. But, yeah, I just really want to know what their last one was, because if it were Lilligant or Yveltal, I think Kyurem could have cleaned that game up. But, you know, that was a fun one, and even though it was, like, 3-0 in the end, it was super, super close, so I am okay with that. Okay, last game here, and it is the Marshadow, Zacian, Thundurus, Zekrom, Yveltal, Incineroar team that I think we actually featured a couple of weeks back. And the idea is you have coaching Marshadow with a bunch of physical Pokemon, and it's support Thundurus. It's been a while since I've used that team, so I don't remember all the sets. But Thundurus with the Eerie Impulse in general is a problem. I actually was practicing with this team and ran into the opposing team. I don't know if it was the same player, but basically, like, Thundurus plus Zekrom just really ran me over because it was able to, like, Thundurus is able to just Eerie Impulse me, which caused some major problems right from the start. And then, like, Airstream was able to just give Whimsicott a lot of trouble immediately. So I want to apply some early pressure. If Victini were faster, I would consider just going for, like, the V-Crate stuff. But I think something like Whimsicott and just Charming immediately into Zekrom can work. Whimsicott. Kyurem. The problem is if I bring Triple Dragon, like, I'm so weak to Zekrom. You know what? I'm down for Whimsicott Zekrom, Reshiram Kyurem. Basically the idea here, I think, like, the 4... You could go Thundurus, Zekrom, Incineroar, Zacian as one mode, which is really strong. You could go Incineroar, Zekrom, like Marshadow, Zacian as another mode. But I think Thundurus with the support set here is actually super, super good into what we have, so I have to be very careful about that. It's going to be Thundurus and Zekrom, yeah. I don't know who Zekrom is faster here. I think, if I remember correctly, the one on the opposing side was just max speed. Oh, no, our Terravolt goes out first. Okay, that's actually a pretty big deal. Like, basically, turn 1, I can go for something like Tailwind plus Bolt Strike onto Thundurus. And if I don't miss Bolt Strike, we can maybe just get a one-hit knockout onto that. And if we were able to get a one-hit KO onto Thundurus... Okay, they switch out, which is very smart, yeah. Okay, into Incineroar. That's fine by me. Because I get my Tailwind up, which is the most crucial part of all of this, and then I can angle for a free switch into Kyurem or Reshiram as well. Yep, there's Zekrom's gonna max. Makes sense. Even if I Charmed here, if Charm would have prevented me from getting KO'd, maybe that'd be valuable, but I don't mind setting up Tailwind this early on in the game. Because if you KO my Zekrom, I just get a free switch in immediately into Kyurem or Reshiram, right? I think one important question in this battle will be who do I want to end up Dynamaxing? But this is a good start. Okay, we get Tailwind successfully. Bolt Strike does not miss, which is beautiful. Into Incineroar, Witch Waistband, and even after Intimidate, that still does 70% around. Or maybe like 65. That's such good damage. Okay, and they're gonna knock out our Zekrom. That's fine. This next turn is so critical, though, I think, because I can bring out Reshiram or Kyurem. And I have Helping Hand support, right? I actually think the best play here is probably... If I'm my opponent here, I wouldn't be attacking with Zekrom, right? I would consider just, like, staying in. I guess I have Charm. Yeah, I mean, something like Charm, Zekrom, Max here, and Wormwind, I think covers for most options. And, like, if they just end up max guarding Zekrom, that puts me in really good shape going into the next turn. But the idea here is I don't want to Helping Hand Max Wormwind into Zekrom, have that max guard, and then Incineroar parting shots into the Kyurem slot. Thundurus comes in, and then Eerie Impulses me. That's a terrible chain of events. Right? So, this covers for most things. I guess they could fake out onto the Whimsicott slot, and then just attack with Zekrom, but would you really be willing to leave your Zekrom exposed like that? The answer is going to be no. There's max guard. Okay, cool. So this is really nice. I get a free knockout onto Incineroar. I also get an attack drop onto them, and I'm still conserving Reshiram for the potential late game Zacian that they have. Reshiram is really crucial to save up for the late games against Zacian, right? So Incineroar faints. There's a little bit of Life Orb. And there's the White Herb. I actually did forget about the White Herb on that team, so... But it would have been fine. I guess it could have been scary if they just clicked Fake Out onto us there, though, no? Thundurus comes out. Okay. So, like, here I expect Eerie Impulse, maybe, but I have Charm, so I don't care really about Eerie Impulse if I just Charm the Zekrom down, because then you're not KOing us, and then I can just Hailstorm to KO Thundurus. I guess, like, now my question is, does Hailstorm KO after Eerie Impulse? But I still expect it to be honest. Yep, there it is. And, like, I'm saving up Reshiram for the late game, and if we can knock out Thundurus now, it means Reshiram can just cleanly sweep against the Zekrom and the potential Zacian. Nice, that's still one shot. It's beautiful. Okay. That was a crit. I don't know if that mattered. I really wish we could have seen how much it would have done without the crit. Because I was expecting it to KO even without the crit, but Thundurus is really bulky. So maybe that mattered. And they actually opted for Airstream here. I wonder if this KOs with us having bulk and charm. The answer is still no. Wow. That was a crit in return. I'm really curious how much both of those attacks would have done without the crit. Like, I would love to know. Because if I survived that and their last one was Zacian, I would just win the game, right? But the problem is now Zekrom's gotten a speed boost. I still have Tailwind up, though, which is good. And I expect Zacian is their last one, right? That is Marshadow. Oh. Huh. I think I'm more okay with that, but it does pressure me with close combat, yeah. And it can coaching through Protect, but 4 turns of Hail. It's the last turn of Tailwind. But my Kyurem should be fat. Oh, no. They got the speed boost. Oh, this actually could pose some problems for me. This could pose some problems. Oh, but I still have a turn of Max on Kyurem, so how do I leverage that? Is it just by Worm winning Zekrom? Zekrom should Protect here. Blue Flare. I actually doubled up on a Marshadow because I don't want to feint to a close combat from that, and I expect Zekrom to Protect. Nice. But I don't know if that was overly risky. Like, this ends up paying off because they didn't protect Marshadow. I think the Marshadow did actually have Protect or Detect on it. This should just win us the game now. Because we should just KO with Dragon Pulse. And that was the other thing. I didn't want to risk on potentially missing. Oh, no, sorry. I went for Blue Flare. Yeah, never mind. I shouldn't have gone for Blue Flare, though. I should have gone for Dragon Pulse. That was actually a really bad play on my end. Because, like, there's no incremental value to Blue Flare there if I'm going for Wormwind. But I think part of the decision paralysis from my end there was trying to figure out whether I wanted to target Zekrom and Marshadow and then made my moves a little fast and then, yeah, didn't account for accuracy there. So Dragon Pulse is definitely the more correct play there. But now we should just win. Never thought I'd see a day, though, where we have all 3 of these out on the field. So we can Dragon Pulse into Zekrom, and then just Blizzard, because we can't miss with Blizzard. They do have a speed boost, so Zekrom can outspeed and KO maybe one of the Pokemon, but even at -2 special attack, with single target Blizzard and Life Orb damage, I would expect to KO the Zekrom. I'm not sure Zekrom actually one-shots either of the Pokemon there without getting a boost. So, yeah. If you want to see the team in action that we just went up against, yeah, they didn't have Detect. That's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure. I used it on Road to Ranked a couple of weeks ago, so I'll link that down in the description below. But, yep, this is a really strong team, and it makes really good use of Marshadow, which I think is a little bit tricky to use in this format since it's weak to both Ghost and Flying. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this one. So, thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you to the original creator for the team. Details, once again, in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right. Peace.